Everybody uses media every day, but not everyone knows how to use media efficiently. Hey guys, and welcome to Intro to Media Studies. One issue that's been prevalent for years, especially in the past American administration, is the spread of disinformation coupled with a lack of sufficient media literacy. I wanted to make this series of videos to help you understand the basics of media studies, as well as provide you the tools for how to engage with media text, how to analyze the media text, and how to be more literate when engaging with the media. So as this is an intro video, I'm just going to start with the basics. So in this video, I'm going to cover the points: what's a medium, why do we need media, how are media and storytelling related, and why do stories matter in media. As well as those points, I'm also going to cover some of the basic terms like target audience, demographic, lens, propaganda, representation, transparency, consumer versus audience, access and accessibility, and intertextuality. I can cover the more advanced stuff in later videos in the series. So, to begin our video series, what is a medium? A medium is just a method or a way of communicating or expressing ideas and information. It can take the form of a book, of a movie, of a podcast, of radio. It can be any way to just get the information out there. The plural of medium is media. Here's the tricky part though. Especially in today's society, we use media singularly to describe the industry of mass communication like news networks, newspapers, and any big industrial media. And in particular, social media refers to any media or medium that is used in a social context, like to connect with friends or family, or to connect with your colleagues at work. Zoom, phones, newsletters, things like that, just to keep in touch with other people. So why do we need media? Well, media is not only how we can share ideas and get information out there faster, it's also how we connect with other people and other societies, other cultures. It's a way to bring us all together. And mass media specifically is how you can share a lot of information at once and rapidly. And it is also an easy way to get feedback, like Twitter. You can send out headlines, you can send out announcements, and instantly receive feedback in the form of likes, comments, retweets, how people like or dislike your ideas. And I want you to spell a myth right now. Not all media is bad. Media is just how we share information. Yes, some information is wrong, and I will definitely cover that later in the series. But it's how we get news. It's how we keep up to date with our family and friends. It's also how we know what's going on in the world around us and also locally. You can't live without connecting to other people and finding out what's going on politically, socially, health wise. You need media. So cutting out all media in your life is just ridiculous. So, how are media and storytelling related? The most effective pieces of media I have found utilize the same principles and building blocks as storytelling. There's characters, a structure of events, or the plot, there's an objective, and there's a resolution. And I also want to make a clear distinction. Yes, some media, like books and movies, can delve more into fiction, like Hunger Games, Harry Potter, those kind of stories. I'm not talking about fictional media, I'm talking about news media and social media and how we communicate. I will talk about fiction in a separate video. But it's true. The best news stories you can think of, at least the ones that stick most in your mind, the ones you're most aware of, have characters, series of events, an objective, and a resolution. A good example of this would be, at least the one that I can think of the most right now, is the insurrection here in America. We have the structure of events, what happened event by event by event throughout the whole day, starting from the rally in the beginning to everyone gathering outside the Capitol, to people storming the Capitol, breaking in, destroying things, trying to find people. We have the characters, everybody who was involved, either the insurrectionists themselves, the people being targeted by the insurrectionists, the people covering this string of events. We have the objective, which is, in this case, what's going on at the Capitol. Who's there? What's going on? We need to find out. And the resolution. How did it end? Was it a happy ending? Was it conclusive? As of right now, it is not a happy ending. Well, it's happy that our government's still intact, that no one actually was lynched. That's a good thing. But what I mean is, it's not happy in the sense that there was fulfillment. It wasn't happy because there's still this presence of fascism and terror here in America. And it's not quite a conclusive resolution either because people are still being identified in the videos and photographs, and they're still being tried and heard in courtrooms. This is just an example of how media and storytelling go together. The last point I'm going to be covering in this video is why do stories matter in media? Well, stories are very quick to get out. It's much easier to get stories across when you have, like the story I just told you with the insurrection, they're much more memorable than just someone listing like a whole string of terms, like with stats and numbers and names that nobody knows. People can make connections with stories more easily. And I'm going to quote the Hunger Games here: make sure they remember you. Sometimes this is a good thing, sometimes it's not. The point is, the most effective pieces of media are stories. So, stories are not just how we can get ideas across, they also show how we relate to that information, whether it's neutral or whether it's more emotionally charged, like if it's meant to scare you or overwhelm you with joy. Stories are just very, very effective in media. All right. So those are the four basic points going into media studies. Now I'd like to discuss some terms that will come up in later videos as we delve more into analysis and engagement with the media text. First thing is the media text. Media text isn't always written text. It just means the main content of a media. For example, with a book, the media text there is literally the text. In a film, the media text is just what you're watching on screen. With a podcast, the media text is everything you're hearing and the discussions, so on and so forth. The target audience is who the media story is aimed at. It doesn't mean that only that audience can read or listen to it or consume the text in any way. It just means that's how the media is framed with that audience in mind. For example, if you are going to talk about the news towards little kids, you're going to tell little kids what happened in the news, you're going to talk to them about it differently than you would with an adult. So you have to think, how will I frame this media? How will I frame the story when I'm talking to this audience versus this audience? Another good example would be when you go to a movie and you have ratings like G rating, PG rating, PG-13, R. For G rating, it doesn't mean only little kids can see it. It just means that the media is okay for any audience to consume. And then with like books, when you're reading books, there's science fiction, there's fantasy, there's romance. It doesn't mean that only science fiction readers can read science fiction books, or fantasy readers only fantasy books, or romance with romance books. It just means that that media, that book, is written with that audience in mind, someone who likes science fiction or fantasy or romance. So target audience is just a neutral term to describe who you're aiming your media at. A demographic is a group of people that is measured by factors such as age, race, religion, sex, gender, quantifiable, objective facets of life. These are quantifiable terms that help you understand different groups of people. It can help you identify who the target audience is, or in general, like who is in the media, like which demographics are in the media story, which aren't. Lens is how media frames a story, such as a simplified look at history, or erasing racism, or framing the story, such as a good example of this would be the book The Boy in Striped Pajamas, which is about the Holocaust, but it's told through the lens of a little boy. So it is this horrible graphic, historic event told from the point of view of a little boy. Lens can refer to point of view, but it's more how a story is framed in general. So it's a bit step back from point of view. Propaganda is any media text that the end goal is to convince the audience of the validity of its side. I'm going to be using it as a neutral term throughout the series. I want you guys to be fully aware that yes, propaganda can get very sketchy. It can definitely have straw man arguments, it can definitely lead to attacks, it can have false information. But in this series, we're going to just discuss propaganda as just trying to convince the audience of being on its side or trying to persuade the audience. We're good? Representation just means how different people, places, events, cultures, groups, etc. are depicted in media, or if they're depicted at all. I will do a whole separate video on representation in the future, so look out for that one. So transparency in media refers to two things. The first one is the relationship between the media and the audience, how clearly everything is being presented to the audience. And the second definition is how transparency deals with the openness and accountability of the person or the source providing the media. So access and accessibility may sound like they can be interchanged, but in this series we're going to discuss access as how the media source is able to get the information, such as journalists being able to get the information they need to do a report, and accessibility will refer to the audience and how they are able to obtain the media and consume the media. So access will be more towards journalists and the source of the media, and accessibility will refer more to the audience consuming the media. And now consumer versus audience refers to how the media is promoted. Consumers engage with the media text on a commercial level. They're the ones who either subscribe to newspapers or podcasts, or they're the ones buying different merchandise, like Disney. So consumer versus audience just looks at if the aim of the media is for commercial reasons or for the audience to engage solely with the media text. Intersectionality is just when one media text refers to another. This can be in the form of cameos, of people quoting, "These are not the droids you're looking for," or in the Disney Aladdin movies case, Robin Williams impersonating different celebrities. So that is it for this video. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire introduction video. The next video will be looking more at how these different terms and points blend together through intersectionality. So I'll see you then. Bye.